Hello and welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast. Hope you guys are all doing well. We've got a fantastic show on the way. But first, I just want to say thanks to NordVPN, our sponsors here at the Everything is Black and White podcast, who without none of this would be possible. And we've teamed up with them to offer our listeners and viewers an exclusive offer. You can click the link in the podcast description box or go to nordvpn.com/tune to sign up and save your pennies on a plan. It is well worth your time to sign up. You are secure, you are safe, and you're supporting the podcast. Why sign up? I hear you ask. Well, there are a host of benefits. For me, it is the value for money because one subscription can be used across 10 devices. That's your work phone, your personal phone, your tablet, what have you. 10 devices, one subscription. I mean, that is the definition of value for money. The other thing I love about it as well is the way that it keeps your details safe and secure when browsing on public Wi-Fi. So if you're on the bus, the train, you're in a cafe and you're connected to their Wi-Fi, there is always the risk that your details could be compromised. That's your bank details, your passwords, and a load of other stuff as well. But with Nord, you are safe and you are secure. And that for me means a heck of a lot. And look, if you're going abroad as well and you're missing your home comforts and you want to keep with it with all your UK streaming services, then you can click the location back to the UK and make sure you never miss your favorite program. What is not to love about it? It's absolutely fantastic. Very simple to get on board. You download the app, you sign up, and away you go. You're keeping yourself safe, you're keeping yourself secure, and you're supporting the podcast at the same time. And another benefit, and I've already mentioned three, and there are a host of other things to mention as well if we had the time. But the final thing I'm going to mention is a 30-day money back guarantee. So it's literally no risk. If you don't like it, get your money back. But you will like it because it's a superb app to have on your phone. Keeps you safe, keeps you secure. And once again, you're supporting the podcast. So click the link or go to nordvpn.com/tune to take advantage of an exclusive offer for our listeners and viewers of the Everything is Black and White podcast. Roll the titles. Hello, welcome back to the Everything is Black and White podcast. Time for another episode of the Mulliner and Musgrove show with me, Andrew Musgrove, and him, Sam Mulliner. Sam, welcome back to the podcast. How are you keeping? You well?
Good, yeah. Had a fun week. So yeah, in good form, and really looking forward to Barcelona and coming off the back of the win we did get against Wolves at the weekend. So yeah, all is well.
Good. Yeah, we're going to talk about Barcelona. We've done the match preview. We've done the view from the opposition. But I know Sam was like a kid at Christmas with the prospect of Newcastle facing Barcelona. So I wanted to get him on and get you guys to share in that excitement, which I'm sure you guys all are. It's a massive fixture. And it is, Sam, what the Champions League is all about, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is massive. But like we said when we looked last week, last week's pod recorded nearly 2 weeks ago, that yeah, we're here to compete this time and get out of the group stage. So there's two ways of looking at it, of which I have conflicting emotions, because I saw Mark Douglas, formerly of this parish, tweet this morning about Lamine Yamal that he's a bit disappointed that he's not going to be featuring for Barcelona on Thursday night, but it makes Newcastle's chances of winning greater. I concur. I'd have loved to have seen Lamine Yamal play. I really would. But there's some real. I mean, he did not need to play for Spain. They did not need him to beat Turkey. So yeah, I can see why Hansi Flick is seriously miffed about that situation. They've got to look after the kid as well. He's still a baby in footballing terms. He's 18. So yeah, it's a big shame. But like I say, for us, it's a massive positive. But their strength in depth is just utter filth. I mean, they played Valencia at the weekend, and Valencia still do sort of have some kind of PTSD post Gary Neville. They're by no means the team they were, but Barcelona was still managed to rest the likes of Araujo, Christensen, Lewandowski, Rafinha. Both of them came off the bench to bag a brace in a 6-0 win. And you look, they're still missing to Sturgeon, Balde, the young left back, who's also very good. Gavi is also injured. They were missing De Jong as well, but he should be fit for Thursday. So, like I said to you the other week, the midfield battle with our lads in there against Pedri and De Jong, and whether it's Olmo in the 10 or Fermin Lopez, it's going to be such a great battle.
It certainly is. And I remember watching that PSG game, which we won 4-1, and Newcastle controlled large parts of that game, if not the majority of it. But there were just brief moments when PSG found a bit of room, and the pace they moved the ball with, it was like a totally different level. And in many ways, I'm fearing that on Thursday, but in other ways, I'm looking forward to seeing it and seeing Newcastle try and contain it and deal with it, because I do think back to that night, and there were so many fantastic memories to take from it. But one of the memories is the way, just how quickly they moved it up the field. And obviously, that's PSG. Barcelona are better in the eyes of many than PSG. So Newcastle are going to have their work cut out. But look, we got the win we needed against Wolves. We go into this in good spirits, come through that game without any injuries. Nick Valdemar flying high after getting his first goal for the club. Newcastle United at home, under the lights, great atmosphere. They'll be up for this game. The fans will be up for this game. There is no reason why Newcastle United can't do exactly what they did 2 years ago and upset the odds.
Yeah. I think you made a really great point there, because Barcelona are better than the PSG side we faced. They're probably not better than PSG now, because they're not Mbappe FC, and they changed their kind of tact recruitment wise for the better. And look, it worked tenfold, didn't it? They're the current European champions, but to kind of look at things objectively, which I sort of have to do, just for 5 minutes before I go and get excited again. Barcelona aren't going to turn up with a brain dead formation that PSG did 2 years ago. 4-2-4 is just so naive. Hansi Flick ain't doing that with Barca. They're going to turn up and play like they always do, and with a sensible formation, 4-2-3-1, which is a system that we've struggled against in the past. It's also a system we've flourished against in certain games, but it is massively, massively difficult. A lot more difficult than the PSG game. And you're right, there were moments where it was really uncomfortable. Even when they got the goal back from Lucas Hernandez, it was like, well, we've lost 4-3. It's been a good effort. Well done, lads. Yeah, but this isn't typical Newcastle United anymore, is it? We can definitely cause them problems, 100%. You're right in what you say. It's great to see Voltemada score. It's always exciting when your new club record signing, your new star striker, scores on his debut. What a fantastic goal it was. But look, he still needs patience and a bit of time. He's fit. He's not Eddie Howe fit. As I say, he was cramping up after an hour, which tells you all you need to know about the fitness levels Newcastle United players need these days to play the way Eddie Howe wants them to play. So frustrating about Wissa. Again, similar to Yamal, but quite a different scenario. Some of it self-inflicted from Vissa's standpoint, because he didn't train for the majority of pre-season. Then you go off to a far-flung corner of the earth to play 2 games, and you pull up injured. So they could have dealt with that a little bit more sensibly, I think, that's just speaking from frustration. It's one of these things. Probably taking the Callum Wilson role a little bit too literally. And the Jacob Ramsey one as well is also really frustrating. And this is a time where now the sort of weekend, midweek games are happening all the way up to, well, past Christmas. So this is a big test of the use of the squad. We saw Arsenal do it last night really well. Kind of rotating their squad and players coming off the bench to make the difference. This is where James Bunt earns his fee and see if we have got that strength in depth that we think we have got now.
Certainly so, and it's going to be interesting to see what the starting lineup is on Sunday against Bournemouth, just a few days after this game. But if you think back to previous clashes with Barcelona, obviously everyone remembers the 3-2 victory, and then we've had a couple more games against them in the Champions League where Newcastle haven't come out on top. And I actually include that Barcelona game in the point I'm going to make. When you look at the starting 11s, Newcastle, I can't quite remember what the feeling was back in '97, but certainly I don't think went into that game thinking they were favourites by any stretch of the imagination. Actually, it would have been a very difficult task to get 3 points, and then Son under Sir Bobby, etc. Yes, you had the romantic side of it being Sir Bobby going back to the new camp. But I think we went in and you compared again the start 11s. I mean, I've got Newcastle 0, Barcelona 2 here back in 2003. And you compare, the start 11s. I mean, they had Thiago Motta and Javi Hernandez in centre midfield. We had Genius and Kieran Dyer. Not bad players, but when you compare them to the Barca,
No Xavi, is it?
Frank de Boer centre back alongside Patrick Anderson. We had Titus Bramall and Andy O'Brien. So, you go into those games thinking great experience, but we kind of know the reality of the situation. Now we go into this game, and again, I think we know the reality of the situation. It's going to be tough, but we do have world-class players. You look at Bruno, you look at Tonali. Those two could get into this Barcelona side, especially Tonali.
Oh, yeah.
They are that good. And I think that's what gives me a little bit of confidence. You could see Tino Livramento in the years to come playing for Barcelona. I hope not, but you could see it. Trippier back in his day, yeah, not now maybe, but we've got quality where I think it helps the mindset. We know it's going to be tough, but it's not a foregone conclusion like it was maybe back in 2003. We've got world-class players who could actually add something to this Barcelona side. So that's why I'm a little bit positive and optimistic about Thursday actually being a good game and getting something out of it.
Yeah. Like I say, looking at things objectively as well, I don't think it's a forlorn hope that we do get something out of this game. Look, Rashford and Rafinha, they're no strangers to the Premier League. Obviously, Rafinha has kicked on and gone to a completely stratospheric level compared to where he was at Leeds United, of course. Lewandowski, he's still a world-class striker. He's not the first team regular anymore. He's 37, so he's obviously not at the peak of his powers, but the respect still needs to be there. I wonder whether Sven Botman might get the nod ahead of Dan Burn.
Really?
But, yeah, I mean, because there's levels to this, and I love Dan Burn. I wish he was my best friend, but the only thing separating me from being wholly Sven Botman is there's still question marks about his fitness. But like you mentioned, world class players there. If Sven Botman can prove his fitness, he falls into that category. So,
sorry, we have to stick on this point a little bit because the comments will be flying off here. I mean, I get
but again, you also have to remember we have Bournemouth on Sunday, so this is what we're on about. We're using the squad, so it's not a big deal.
No, I think it is. I think the opening game of the Champions League campaign against a side like Barcelona, I think to get Sven Botman into that side in place of Dan Burn would be a massive risk, not doubting the ability, but the fitness is the key issue, which you mentioned.
Yeah.
So if you're putting the argument that actually it's a game of rotation, then I'd more likely see Botman playing on Sunday than on Thursday. There's not a chance that he drops Dan Burn for Thursday. No way. Not happening.
I agree with you because of the fitness argument, and that's the thing that's putting me off. I said, but if there's no fitness concerns there, then I don't know. Could we even see a back three, and see that kind of scenario, which I'm sorry, really would not surprise me whatsoever. And we saw it employed with some big games last season in the League Cup semi-final, both legs against Arsenal, of course. It wouldn't surprise me to see Botman feature if, and it is a big if, because it's not he's not someone that you can have been able to rely on. Not again, as you say, ability wise, because again, on pure ability, where the world of injuries and fitness concerns don't happen, Sven Botman is in that world-class bracket, but he's had such a disruptive 18 months. You can't help but just to have a little niggling doubt at the back of your head, but there's no doubt in his ability. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Howe threw a curveball in there.
I could see it happening. He has used that formation in tough fixtures, and it has worked. But then it would lead you to the question of who drops out for Botman to come in that back three. And actually, you've mentioned it, the midfield battle is where this game is going to be won and lost. And you need all three of those midfielders to be playing, really, for Newcastle to have any chance in this. And I also think, actually, the way to get at Barcelona is that high press, and then also to be able to hit them fast on the counter. And you kind of, that's better suited to Eddie Howe's tried and tested formation that he plays pretty much all the time. So I think, while I could see him playing three at the back with the two wing backs, I actually think he'll stick with the formation that he's used for the majority of his games at Newcastle United, simply because that's how you deploy the high press better, I think. And that is, for me, the key, especially in the opening 20 minutes, half an hour. Really test them when they're playing around the back, get the ball, and then just make sure you're clinical with your chances as well. That's going to be really important. But I think we'll see the same formation.
Yeah. Again, that wouldn't surprise me either. I think I just thought I thought it was an interesting point to make, because I mean, we've already seen it once this season. Granted, it was Leeds away and not Barcelona at home, which is somewhat differing. And you're right, you would have to sacrifice a midfielder, and we've seen Joe Linton is such a presence. And then but having said that, you're then shaping up 2-on-2, Bruno Tonali, De Jong, Pedri. I mean, that's a box office clash on its own merit. But yeah, I think you do miss the physicality, the brute strength of Joe Linton, because we're a big old side, a real physical side, which not all teams like, as we've seen. Before Voltemada signed and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, again, out wide, they have familiar players. Rashford's been doing all right for Barcelona, somehow. And he does have a good record against us as well, let's not forget. And as I say, Rafinha was touted for Ballon d'Or rewards not too long ago. So, having said that, like you say, Trippier, all the experience in the world, and is just levels above mentally against these sort of players. And watching the early stages, and yes, it's still early days in the Premier League, but I've yet to see a better wing back than Tino Livramento for any club in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, I think Newcastle have got the back line to deal with Barcelona, but it's certainly kind of on the borderline, because if it is burning share, then you're kind of questioning the pace. Trippier as well, and that's maybe where that back three could come in and help, because he is going to have to deal with pace, and that's probably the one thing he's lacking at his old age of 33, 34. But we will see. Fascinating battle. I certainly don't see the back line changing, in my opinion. But let us know in the comments your thoughts. But I'm just excited. I'm just buzzing for it. I mean, what a match that awaits us.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm intrigued. It's a real big test for Howe and Tyndall, to try and come up with a strategy to beat one of the best sides in world football. Like you say, we're defensively sound, but if Lewandowski pops up with a couple and they win 2-0, you just go, well, yeah, fair enough. But qualification will not be won and lost against Barcelona. We saw a lot of sides were drawn against play on Tuesday night. PSV Eindhoven look an absolute garbage side. They really do. We've got them at home as well. If we're not taking maximum points against them, we don't deserve to qualify. Union Saint-Gilloise, who won in Eindhoven last night, really comprehensively. So they look a real proposition now. Whereas where we were previewing the card, weren't we, last week, and you think, well, that's the kind of game you look at to maybe pick some points up away from home. All of a sudden, that prospect is slightly more daunting than what it was this time last week. Benfica, who were in talks with Jose Mourinho, they chucked away a 2-0 home advantage against Karabag and lost 3-2 last night. So incredible. fair play to Karabag as well, but there's some holes appearing in sides form already, so it does give you a bit of hope. Marseille pushed Real Madrid a long way as well. They took the lead, didn't they? And then Madrid went down to 10 because Carvajal came on for the injured Alexander Arnold. Don't see that much. You never walk alone with him these days, but there you go. Yeah, they gave up a great battle at the Bernabeu and came away with a lot of credit. So yeah, it's already we've seen some really close games and some crazy games as well. That second half between Juventus and Borussia Dortmund last night was absolutely, crazy. It was 0-0 at half time.
Yeah, Lloyd Kelly getting his second goal in a matter of days for Juventus. I suppose this is the one of a few positives about the redevelopment or the restructure of the Champions League is that actually, with it being a league phase, teams approach games differently, and you probably do get to see more of these crazy games than if it was the group stage, where I suppose you do have to take it a little bit differently to a league phase. Promise David scored for Union. The man that I've been talking
Penalty
about.
though, wasn't it?
Still naming the history books. First goal for that side ever in the Champions League. He'll be one to watch in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, as you say, some crazy results, and nothing will surprise you on Thursday. At least Newcastle United hopefully getting a victory. Just want to talk about a few other things, Sam, before we end on some trivia. So the first thing I want to talk about, you mentioned it briefly there, the prospect of Jose Mourinho returning to Benfica, which means Newcastle will potentially face him in the dugout. Quite exciting, isn't it?
Well, yeah, because he's got a horrendous record at St James's.
Yeah, yes, yeah, indeed. And it's always kind of a Hollywood script when it comes to Jose Mourinho. Elsewhere, I want to talk about just briefly Villa. I mean, their season hasn't begun brilliantly, has it? 1-0. Sorry, 1-0. They lost on penalties to Brentford in the League Cup. Their man Gesand, who they signed in the summer from, who was it in the end? Came from France, didn't he? Come on, you're a man who watches Ligue 1. Can you remember which team?
This was never a guy that came off my notebook. So yeah, he looks absolutely well. He's struggling early doors, isn't he? Villa are struggling early doors, but again, I feel dirty doing this because I don't like them whatsoever. But just to defend Villa a little bit, Harvey Elliott looked bright, didn't he? For them, and they scored a goal, which is always a bonus, something they haven't been able to do. And to be fair, I think a point at Everton at the weekend for them was quite a good result. I did go on Twitter though, and there was a lot of Emery out, which I found hilarious.
Yeah, how the tables have turned. I guess on signed from Nice, but I only watched the second half, admittedly, of that game yesterday against Brentford. But
I was flicking through all the Champions League games. I didn't pay much attention to that, to be honest. I couldn't take my eyes off the second half of Juve and Dortmund. It was just because I have a little soft spot for Dortmund these days, but I was watching Yildiz from Juventus with just heart shape in my eyeball. What a player he looks. But yeah, Dortmund, their tactics were a bit wayward, even though they should have won. They went up 4. They were winning 4-2 in the 92nd minute, and then Vlahovic got a goal, and then he crossed it in for, as you say, Lloyd Kelly. It was a great header as well, by the way. Absolutely superb finish.
Great to see him finding his feet and two in, because it's taken a little bit of a while. But it's great to see him actually.
Well, players need time to adapt.
Yeah. But yeah, that Gassan guy, who will say will need time, but he looked like he was trying too hard. Every defender he tried to beat, every touch was heavy. I felt for him a little bit, actually. I did actually feel.
Well, your man who played for Wolves at the weekend that they signed from Genk, he was just a big lump up there, wasn't he? There was no real kind of moments of sort of class, really. It was quite a physical battle, which plays into our strengths, really. Cher and Byrne were always going to cope with onslaughts like that relatively well. What they didn't cope with so well is the sort of pacing behind, where on another day Wolves could have been 2-0 up in the first minute. But again, it reminded me of the 1-0 win at West Ham the week before the cup final, where it was one of them where it doesn't matter how it happens, you've just got to scrap and claw and let your kind of quality show in the end. Get a 1-0, you're underway, monkeys off your back, you've got your first win, season starts now, Voltemade goal, fantastic, great for the lad. And now we can kick on and push on for the rest of the season.
Yeah, indeed. Hopefully following up with victory over Barcelona. Just to finish off then, Sam, bit of trivia. Everyone's reminiscing about that. Newcastle 3-2 victory over Barcelona. So would you like to name the starting 11 from 1997?
For Newcastle or for Barcelona?
For Newcastle.
Shea Given in goal.
Yeah.
Albert.
Yeah.
Watson.
Yep.
Barton.
Yeah.
Keith Gillespie, obviously, because it was one of the greatest performances in a black and white shirt ever.
Indeed.
Batty.
Yep. Picked up a yellow.
Barnes.
John Barnes, yeah.
Right, it was Thomason playing just off Tino.
It was.
Was it Bez?
Bez is in there, yeah.
How many have I got? What am I missing?
Well, you've mentioned him, but you haven't said his name as an answer. So Tino, and then you've got one more.
I said John Dale Thomason.
No, you've got one more. You've only given us 10 there.
Given in goal.
In fact, yeah. No, you've missed one man.
What position have I missed?
Well, funny enough, on the UEFA website of the match report from that day, he's playing left back, which is totally wrong because they've got Albert and Watson up front as well. He was captain on the night. If
Rob
I give
Lee.
you the position, you're going to get, Rob Lee.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, because we played with a back three.
Yeah, well, this has been the case for this UEFA website for years. Because I remember
Kenny liked a 3-5-2.
I'll read you out the formation and starting 11 that they've got. So, Given in goal, Barton right back, Beresford centre back, Batty centre back, Lee left back, Barnes right wing, Espria centre mid, Thomason centre mid, Gillespie on the wing, Watson and Albert up front.
Hey, they could do a job. They could both finish. To be fair to them. To be fair to Albert and Steve Watson, they could both finish.
I mean, if you flip that, they've got Rivaldo and Anderson playing centre back for Barcelona. So who knows?
That's probably why they conceded 3. They had Ruud Hespin goal. What a keeper he was back in the day. Nadal as well, a legendary Spanish centre half. I remember Sergi, obviously, because he got his pants pulled down by Keith Gillespie. Luis Enrique played. De La Pena, he played. Sonny Anderson was up front. Rivaldo, Figo. I'm missing a few there as well, aren't I?
Riesga and Emeniki.
Oh, Reitziger. He ended up at Borough, didn't he? He was rubbish. But yeah.
Gary on the bench.
They did, yes.
Well, he signed for Birmingham, didn't he, in the end?
He did. But he won the World Cup with France in 98.
Yeah, well, as we know, that always doesn't mean you're a good striker, does it?
Whoa. I will not have the name of Stefan Gavash toileted on this podcast.
Why?
But, yeah, fair question.
That's a difficult one, Sam.
Yeah. Great though, wasn't it? Great. I mean, yeah, what a night that was. And Keith Gillespie's just
Unstoppable.
He was, but not just with his pace, but the delivery for the third goal in particular is just one of my favourite crosses of all time. Can Jacob Murphy and Voltemade recreate it? Perhaps now your man Alanga was dropped, but again needs time.
I was just about to say, hopefully Jacob Murphy, who does, in my opinion, get the nod for Thursday, can replicate something that Keith Gillespie did and set Nick Voldemar up for a couple of goals against Barcelona. But Sam, thank you very much for sharing your excitement ahead of Thursday's game with the Spanish Giants. To you guys watching and listening, do get into the comments or message me over social media with anything you'd like to say or get back at that me and Sam have discussed today. Remember to take advantage of your NordVPN exclusive discounted offer by clicking the link in the podcast description box. Your support, as always, is greatly appreciated. And for myself and Sam, we will see you guys next week.